welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and we are officially in my birth month. It's Leo season, baby. Leo season. It is the best time to exist in the year between that little bit to the end of July to most of August. I actually forgot the dates. I just know we're in Leo season, and it is the season of my birth. My birthday is this month. It is a great month. I always feel that I need to enjoy the books the most in August because it's my birthday month and everything's about me in August. But we are going to be going through and discussing my very, very, very successful July. This month is the most books I have read in one singular month after January. January is always the month that I do the best. I think it's just the hype of the new year and all the possibilities. Ignoring January, this is my second best reading month in terms of the amount of books read. So I'm very excited to jump in and then also talk to you about my top 3 priorities for August. If this is your first wrap up with me, you will not know this, but the way that I like to do my wrap ups is starting with the worst rated books first and ending the video on a high with my favorite books of the month. So starting off first, this was the book that I read on the very, very last day of July. I literally finished it yesterday. That is Miss Gentle and the Case of the Very Flat Monk by Travis Baldree. I am currently, as we speak, in the middle of doing a reading vlog where I am going through all of the Amazon Magic and Mystery series because I've always wanted to read these short stories. I have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. Gotta use it, else I'm just giving Amazon my money willy-nilly. I am making my way through slowly a collection of 7 stories. I've read 2 so far. Not feeling too confident. I'm not feeling too confident. But this is the worst book that I read in July. The only way I would describe this is that it is fine. It is fine. That is it. And I actually would think that's kind of worse than really, really hating a book, is when a book is just meh. I liked Miss Gentle as a character. I feel like because it was a short story, we couldn't really cover much ground, and you will have to watch the video of my thoughts on Travis Baldree because let me just say I'm not surprised that I didn't really vibe with it because I'm not Travis Baldree's biggest fan. Moving on, we then have The Hollow by Agatha Christie. This is my second 2-star book this month. I don't know what it is about the latter Christie novels. They are just not really hitting for me at the moment. This was like a quintessential Christie novel. It is set in a manor house. It has a lot of well-to-do, rich, busybody characters. Poirot is introduced quite early on in the story, which I normally like because normally Christie likes to literally have him come in at the end to solve the mystery because she doesn't like him anymore in her writing process. So everything about this just seemed like it was going to be perfect for me. In actuality, what happened is I was just incredibly bored reading it. I think it's quite funny. Whenever I finish a Christie novel, I jump onto the All About Agatha podcast, and guaranteed the 2 hosts will love a book of hers that I don't like, and then I will love a book they don't like. So when I saw the glowing review on the podcast for this one, I did kind of go into it thinking, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this was just insanely boring, fat phobic. Poirot and his amazingness could not save this book. I could understand what she was trying to do. I don't think it was executed very well. I just found myself not really caring. There is one character in this book. She is a sculptor. I really, really liked her as a character. And as always, I love my man Poirot. But there was nothing in this book that I really cared about. I thought it was fine. I am worried as I've got 11 books left, and then I've completed reading all the Poirot novels. My goal is to try and read 1 more this year and then 5 next year and 5 the year after that and finish in 2028. But if this is anything to go by, I don't think it's going to be a very good 2 years because this was just underwhelming, and I know Christie can do way better. Sometimes I think it's a case with authors who are expected to pump out a book a year after year after year after year that the quality might dip for certain authors. I think about Tessa Bailey, who's expected to kind of bring out a romance book every 6 months, and how I've really seen the dip in quality from her, that I think we might be teetering into this with Miss Christie, because she's also not just writing Poirot. She's writing Miss Marple, which I haven't even got to, and standalones, and some Tommy and Tuppence. I just think we're seeing a decline in craft from her. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a bad book. I had 1 3-star rated book this month, and this is a bit of a tough one for me because this author's last 2 books were 5 out of 5 stars. So I really am sad and disappointed that this one just didn't hit the mark for me. And that is The Heirs by Faridah Abike-Iyimede. This is her most recent YA thriller mystery release. It just completely missed the mark for me. I think the key thing here is it's not really a murder mystery. It's not actually a detective comes in, meets all the suspects, slowly using the clues figures out who the murderer is. In this one we have 5 siblings. They were all adopted from different points around the world and were raised to greatness by this billionaire who is trying to do an experiment of nature versus nurture. So we meet these 5 individuals. They are all prodigies in their own right, and they all have complicated feelings towards each other, their adoptive father, their own careers and experiences. And it's a little bit more of a character-focused exploration into like a realistic contemporary version of the Umbrella Academy, right? We spend a good chunk of the first half just learning about these characters and what makes them tick. And then halfway through the murder happens. So the issue that we've got, first of all, as a murder mystery book is that the murder happens way too late in the story to have a consistent and engaging mystery, because we're trying to rush all the solving in the last half. And I don't think Faridah this time around pulls it off. I think it feels too rushed, too jam-packed of information in such a short page count. So that's the issue that I have with this. Issue 2 is that her character work was fine for me. I normally really, really like her characters. Where Sleeping Girls Lie is like a tome of a book, and I guess quite a lot of the plot twists, but I was so obsessed with the characters and loved her character writing that I didn't really mind that. In this, I thought the characters were fine, and I felt like we might have had too many characters to go through. And all I could think the entire time is, where's the mystery element of this? So when you go into this, don't think it's a murder mystery. Think it's more of a murder in the backdrop of learning and understanding the characters and their relationships and their dynamics. That will probably disappoint you less than what I went through. Will say I thought the elements of the mystery and who it was and how it was solved and all the intricacies that come in that were done well and were interesting. I just think because we had to shoehorn all of the murder mystery into the latter part of the book, that's where it falls. I think if we'd spaced out the murder more and given more time to the murder and actually had maybe an understanding of who these characters were flow better throughout the book, rather than kind of leaving it all in the first chunk of the story, might have served this book better. So yeah, I am quite disappointed. Ace of Spades and Where Sleeping Girls Lie were 5-star books for me, so 3 stars isn't bad. I think we should stop demonizing 3-star books. But in this case, having gone from 2 5 stars to 3, it is disappointing. Now we move on to the 4-star rated books from this month. The first one is The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. This is a contemporary romance about a woman who works in HR that accidentally gets herself caught up in a engagement of convenience with a prince from a small Scandinavian country. The first half is like a really, really fun, light-hearted, smutty, contemporary romance with this whole like royal family and all of that. The latter half gets really, really serious really, really quickly. Talking about cycles of abuse within a royal family and complicated sibling dynamics. So it does kind of lead you into a false sense of security, because you think you get this really gorgeous woman who gets swept off her feet by this prince, and then they're gonna go have this fun engagement of convenience, and then suddenly you're like, oh, the king in this country? An awful man. I really, really liked the main character in this book. Actually, the main couple in general, I really, really liked. I really liked the more serious elements of the second half. I do think it elevated that book to what would have been maybe a 3 stars to 4 stars. There was a good amount of depth and a conversation, about complicated family dynamics, abuse, what we will accept for the sake of family. All of that was done really well, but very unexpected in what you think is going to be a fun little smutty romance novel. So yeah, a bit of a wild reading experience. That being said, I enjoyed it so much. I have factored in the next book in that series, The Roommate Risk, at some point over the next 2 months. I'm hoping to finish that trilogy before the end of the year. But yeah, it was just really fun. There's not too much to say about this. I just had a really good time reading it. It was my first Talia Hibbert book. It will not be my last. I am looking forward to The Roommate Risk. Then we have Cross the Line by Simone Solanti. This is my first ever F1 romance. I actually spoke about this in a little bit more depth in my recent new adult fiction video, which I would love for you to check out. This follows two characters. This follows Willow. She is a recent university graduate in sports marketing who is struggling to find a job and is also trying to manage her chronic illness. And we then have Dev. He is a F1 driver that is trying to get his way up into the big leagues. He's very like bottom to middle of the track in regards to the F1 Grand Prix scene, and is desperately trying to get out of his current racing contract and racing company and go up in the sport. He goes through a very big scandal to his image, and he hires Willow, who happens to be his best friend's little sister, to help him out with his branding and with his image. Bit of an extra complicated element. In about 6 months beforehand, they had kissed, and it kind of rocked both of their worlds and the way that they viewed each other. I've never read an F1 romance. I realise I'm 100% an F1 romance fan. One, I like the kind of danger of the sport when I'm reading it, not for the real life people and their partners. Don't love that for them. But in regards to reading it, I love the dangers of it and what that could bring to a romance novel. I loved visiting the various different prix and the cities that they're set in. I think Dev and Willow are a really fun couple. I had a really good time reading this. I was reading it and all I could think about was the New Adult Fiction Prize. I think a lot of new adult people can really appreciate where Willow is in regards to graduating uni and really struggling to find a job. Her self-worth is tied within to her lack of achievements after graduating. That I think a lot of new adults, anybody, but especially new adults can appreciate. And yeah, I just had a really good time. I really liked their romance. I thought their dialogue was great. One of my mutuals, when I posted about Cross the Line, did message me and say that the second book is like leagues better. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then we have Around the World in 80 Dates by Jasmine Burke. This is a really fun traveling, like European travel, slow burn romance with a bisexual main character whose sexuality is core to the story. It is just so much fun. I will say, not to compare two books, but last year I read The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. And Casey McQuiston's The Pairing fell flat for one core reason, and that was I found the main two characters, the main love interests, incredibly pretentious and insufferable. But I liked everything else about the book. So going into this one, I was like, listen, I know that I love travel romances. I know that I love romance. I know that I love exploring characters, having different experiences, exploring different people. Like I know I enjoy those elements of books because I liked that from The Pairing last year. I just really hope our two main characters of this aren't insufferable. And they weren't. Around the World in 80 Dates is an incredible book. It follows our main girl, Amory, who has a viral video in which she's ranting about the modern day dating scene and manages to end up convincing this travel magazine to pay for 6 months of her to travel around Europe, going on dates with different people, and what that is like being a bisexual woman trying to navigate the modern day dating scene. Along the way, literally on her first stop on her trip, she meets a guy called Noah who ends up becoming her travel buddy, and they explore Europe together, and it's a beautiful slow burn romance. I found this so much fun. I loved all the cities that we saw. I loved all of the different dates that Amory went on, moments that you literally are cringing, moments that you are laughing out loud. You honestly need to read this if you're on a European holiday. It is so much fun. It's full of, it's like sunshine in a book. That's how much I really enjoyed this book. Noah and Amory have amazing chemistry, and I'm not a massive slow burn fan, especially in contemporary books. I don't mind slow burn romances in genre fiction, that I don't mind. But in contemporary romances, I don't want slow burn. Ironically, I'd rather have insta-love over slow burn. That's how much I'm not a massive slow burn fan, but I do think this works really well. I think it balances out with all the different dates that both of them go on. If it's a contemporary book and it's all about the romance, I want the romance strong. I want that romance from the beginning. In genre fiction, if it's a slow burn, you've got so much else going on in the plot that it doesn't matter. My only criticism of this book, because this genuinely would have been a 5 stars if it wasn't for the ending. I found that the ending was wrapped up too quickly. I think, obviously it's a romance, so we all know what happens at the end, because that's literally the whole point of a romance. I felt that the confession scene and the getting together scene literally lasted about 5 pages, and then we were on the epilogue. And as somebody who has spent the entire book waiting for the moment for these two to realize they're meant for each other, having that wrapped up in about 15, 20 pages was disappointing, which is such a shame because the rest of this book is 10 out of 10 perfection. I felt like we had a really good flow of what was going to happen between these two characters that then got stilted and then had to be wrapped up really quickly at the end, which is honestly so disappointing because the rest of this is amazing. But don't let that turn you off. This book is so much fun. It's not just about the romance. It is also about Amory kind of trying to grab life by the horns and live the life she's always wanted to live, which I think is really good. And all the characters that she meets, that she goes on dates with, are really interesting and fun and fleshed out. So it is a really, really good book. I'm just a sucker for just a lot of romance and our main couple getting together quicker. This book does make me consider more slow burn romances. And then finally, the last two 4 stars going into 5 stars, so we're going to make this a 4 to 5 star bracket on the video, is Delicious in Dungeons Volume 7, 8 and 9. Volume 7 and 8 were 4 stars. Volume 9 was a 5 star. I started off reading the Delicious in Dungeon volumes and feeling very middle of the road about the first like 2 or 3 volumes. This series follows a guy called Leos, who is part of an adventuring party. In this world, this dungeons, kind of the way you would experience them in Dungeons and Dragons, randomly appear throughout the world with concentrated magic and other magical reasons. People will try and delve into those dungeons and gain treasures and money and all that kind of stuff. This is one of the biggest dungeons that is said if you defeat the wizard that controls the dungeon, you own the dungeon and the palace of gold that's at the bottom of it. Leos is one of many adventuring parties with a bunch of friends and his sister in tow. They get attacked by a red dragon and his sister gets eaten by a red dragon. And the first half of this series is them trying to get to the dragon before the dragon fully digests his sister. We're now in the latter half of this series. I think I've only got 3 or 4 volumes left. So the stakes are slightly different and a lot more, like the stakes are higher now. I won't go into the reasons why in fear of spoilers for people, but I'm really, really enjoying the direction that the series is now going. The first early volumes kind of felt very, this chapter we're making this food and this chapter we're learning about this monster. I feel like now there is a stronger overarching plot, which is really, really good and I'm really enjoying. And volume 9 has some really, really interesting characters introduced and looked at and really delving deep into the wider world and the wider context of the dungeon, which I really, really liked. Probably, hopefully, give or take, would love to finish this series at the end of the year because I've got 4 volumes left, but I don't have that sweet, sweet bookseller discount anymore. And these volumes are $12.99. So we'll see, but I would love to get to the end of this series and see it all as a whole and also watch the show. But yeah, this was really good, really enjoyed it. Love the art style. I love how we're still sticking with the food messaging and the food gags and the recipes and all of that, because sometimes, you know, series start and then as they get more popular and as the stakes get higher, we kind of lose what made it special at the very beginning with the first couple of volumes. And I don't think Ryoko Kui has lost that. I think she's managed to maintain that while also elevating the story and the characters. So yeah, very much worth your time. Delicious in Dungeon, especially like myself if you're a Dungeons and Dragons fan. Now moving on to the fully 5-star books. Obviously volume 9 was a 5-star, but continuing on with the 5-star books, we have When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This was the August book group book, so I've read it in time, none of this rushing to finish malarkey. This is my first Veronica Roth book. Controversially, I have not read a Divergent book at all. I've not even seen the Divergent movies, so I actually know nothing of Veronica Roth's writing. Friend of the channel Morgan has spoken obsessively to me about how much they love this book, so I obviously had to give it a go and see if it was worth the hype. I've seen nothing but great things about it. And for such a short book, it really does pack a punch. This is set in modern day Chicago. Demeter has come over from Poland with one sole mission, and that is finding the elusive and very powerful witch Baba Yaga. He must work with 2 very interesting and complicated and dynamic individuals who are basically Slavic folklore reimagined for the modern day. And they go on this mission to find Baba Yaga. There's a lot of secrets that they hold from each other. It is action-packed. It is full of Slavic folklore. I honestly you should watch my mini vlog number 8 that just came out where Harry and I went golfing. I promise you it's not boring. It's actually very interesting. I read about half of this at the golf trip. And I just found it to be really, really interesting, really engaging. I love and I'm a massive fan of any books that tackle Slavic/Eastern European folklore. I think they are very, very interesting. I'm a massive folklore and mythology fan, but especially when it comes to folklore and mythology, I don't know very well. And this is jam-packed full of it. Again, for such a tiny, tiny, tiny book. So bloody good. I don't really want to say too much because it's got such a short amount of page count. This is a tight web that Veronica Roth weaves. So anything trying to explain it, you're going to unravel spoilers. But I just really enjoyed it. I read it in a day. I literally said to Harry at one point, like, don't speak to me. I have to finish this book. It is honestly, truly like an incredible book. I don't really know what else to say, to be honest, apart from the fact that I really bloody enjoyed it. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. It is a duology. So the next one is To Clutch a Razor, which only follows Demeter. I don't think it follows any of the other characters. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a good discussion for book group. I have a feeling a lot of us will like it. I don't think anybody will specifically hate it, but I actually love it when people in our book group hate books because it's a lot more of an entertaining chat. But yep, I'm feeling very confident, and shout out to book groups who prefer short books. It saves us and our TBRs all the time. And then finally, my favourite book of the month, as well as my new favourite book of the year so far, we have A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. Now, if any of you have been following me from last year and saw my favourite books of 2025 video, you will know that the top of the list and my favourite book of 2025 was the book before this one. The Tainted Cup was my favourite book of 2025. Truly an incredible fantasy mystery book, and I was very nervous going into this one whether this one would match the hype, and it did. Actually, it's a very, very interesting is sometimes it either is really not that great compared to the first book or completely outshines the first book. In this one, both book 1 and 2 are so consistently amazing that they are balanced. And I hope when I finally get around to book 3 later this month that I will feel the same way about book 3. In this world, it's so hard to explain. I did post on my TikTok and Instagram a video of me trying to explain how great this series is. But it's a very kind of like eco-punk fantasy world where nature and science combine. In this world, leviathans every wet season attack the kingdom, but humanity's managed to find a way that they harness the everything from these leviathans, whether it's the bones, the blood, the fats, anything, even the plants that grow from the bodies of the leviathans when they are struck down, when they attack the country. All of those flowers, bugs, blood, guts and gore all get experimented on and have allowed humanity to alter themselves in mystical, magical, fun ways. We've seen this empire, which is the governing body and the ruling governing body of the country, expand and grow and colonize and take over. And at the center of this kingdom, and this is our two main characters, Anna Dolabra and Dinios Cole. Anna is a leading special investigator working for a specific faction of the government known as the Arudeks, who are basically the police, aren't necessarily the police officers. They're like the special forces version, and she is a special investigator investigating specific, complicated or political focused crimes. Her assistant is a man called Dinios Cole, and to give you a little bit of a taster of what these magical experiments and magical properties these leviathans bestow upon humanity and all the experiments that happen on these bodies, is a maggot was grown. I can't remember whether it came from a leviathan or was made from a leviathan or how it happened, but humanity was able to create a maggot that you can put in a human being's head, and it would allow this human being to remember everything that they saw, smelled, heard, read, everything that that person experiences gets engraved in their mind, and they will remember it till the day they die. It is so accurate now that these engravers, who Dinios, or Din as he is known, Din is an engraver. Engravers are so accurate that an engraver can testify in a court of law, and that will be considered the truth, because that is how high esteem and how powerful engravers' minds are. So Anna, who is a very, very interesting older woman who kind of feels slightly elven-like, very different to the rest of the world. She constantly wears a blindfold. She swears like a bloody trooper. She is the special investigator and Din is her assistant who engraves everything that he sees and relays back to her. She's very much more of an armchair detective, less so in this one, heavy on the armchair detective in book 1. In this, we see her do a little bit more, but that's kind of the world, and they go around each book solving murders. In this one in particular is a locked room mystery, and I love a locked room mystery. In this one, it has to do with the disappearance of a very important treasury official who is in the process of trying to facilitate the Empire's takeover of the kingdom of Yarrow, and all the complicated elements that come into that. The themes in this, obviously outside of like a locked room mystery and things like that, there are themes of colonization, themes of science, themes of committing atrocities in the sake of trying to save humanity. It is the wiping and the destruction of culture. All of this gets discussed in this book, and it is a very, very masterful book. I love the characters. Anna and Din's dynamic will forever and always be my favorite character dynamic. It's giving not mother and son. It's not giving mother and son. It's giving like auntie and her favorite nephew. That's what it's giving. I love their dynamic. I think they're great. I think Anna's such an interesting, one of probably the most interesting female fantasy characters for me personally. I think Din's a great narrator. I think this magical world, like everything in this world, it's like nature took over, but with a scientific streak through it. The houses and the buildings are made of living plants, and the clothes are made of living plants. And it's a very plant-heavy world. It's so good. It's such an inventive, amazing world with a little bit of an Attack on Titan vibe, which I really, really like. Puzzles are masterful. The characters are great. The character Marlowe in this, if this ever got adapted into a movie series or a TV show, I want to find out how I can audition to play Marlowe, because that's my girl. I love her so much. Just truly an incredible fantasy mystery series. And yeah, made it now. Yesteryear has gone to second place. Robert Jackson Bennett may hail supreme for another year on this channel because of how much I love his series. And I'm reading the third book, A Trade of Blood, which comes out later this month on the 11th. I'm going to read that when it comes out, and just gonna have a whole field month of, I was gonna say field day, but it's a month, whole field month of Robert Jackson Bennett. As I also said, I'm reading that magic and mystery series, and there is a short story by Robert Jackson Bennett in that, set in the same world of this series. So yeah, really, really looking forward to the Robert Jackson Bennett month. That is July done and dusted. Let's jump into my August hopefuls. So the first August hopeful we've got is The Silent Appeal by Janice Hallett. This is the sequel to The Appeal, the last book I read before I became a bookseller, and was one of the books that I mentioned in my interview. It's an amazing contemporary murder mystery set entirely as an epistolary novel. So everything is told through texts and emails and newsletters and transcripts and all that fun stuff. Ironically, the reason I read The Hollow last month was because in this world we follow a amateur dramatics company, and the play they're putting on, which happens in the middle of this book, is The Hollow. So I was thinking if The Hollow is a hint for anything, I want to have read that first before going into this, but let's hope I like this more than I did The Hollow, because I didn't love The Hollow. I will say this is the first Janice Hallett book that doesn't have me going, OMG, I can't wait to read it. I think because it's a sequel, I definitely am more of like a standalone fan when it comes to her work, but hopefully this hits just as hard. I think it can be quite hard to do mystery sequels when we're returning to more or less the same cast, rather than following like a detective with a different group of people. So I'm intrigued to see how Janice does it. Second book I am very adamant I'm going to read in August is finally, after speaking about this book for months and months and months, it is Embrace by Bal Cabra. I currently don't have my hands on Embrace because it doesn't come out for another couple of days, but my friend Vic and I have been obsessed with this series, and we are so excited for Embrace. This is the final book in the Off the Ice hockey romance series. I actually can't even face, like, I think I'll cry when I finish reading it. It is like my favorite romance series, favorite sports romance series. It follows Kian and Scarlett. Kian Ishida is my favorite of the boys in this series. I'm so happy that he's got his own book. I love that man. And Scarlett, we met her in book 3. She is best friends with Sierra, the female lead in Revolve, which I read earlier this year and was just as obsessed. And Scarlett happens to be the coach's daughter, and they are tutoring each other. So yeah, I really hope it's good. I really hope that I love it because of how much I love the rest of the series, and I hope we end on such a good note. And yeah, that's a wild thing. I have heard that Balcabra's next book is going to be YA. I'll be honest with you, like, obviously, I am not the biggest YA reader anymore. I've just kind of moved on from YA, give or take a couple of authors. Or a couple of series that I'm still in the middle of. So I will read it because it's Balcabra, but I was really hoping we were just going to get another adult romance series from her, but we'll see. And finally, who would have thought we were going to do an Illumicrate unboxing in a YouTube video? I know exactly what is in this Illumicrate box. I'm still waiting on my copy of Evernight. It was meant to arrive like 2 hours ago, but I've heard nothing, so let's hope they've not lost it at the depot. I am pretty adamant that the book that is in this box is A Snake Among Swans by Hannah Kaner. That is the book that I 100% think is in this big yellow box. Because if it is, that is the book that I actually plan on reading once this video is wrapped, because I'm so excited to read another Hannah Kaner book. For those of you who don't know, God Killer, well, the whole Fallen Gods trilogy is a series that I've absolutely adored from beginning to end. I loved every single book in that series. I did 3 podcast episodes with the Hidden Bookcase because of how much I love that series. So I'm really excited to see something new from Hannah Kaner. And let's see if I am right. So I'm not... Oh shit, that's the bottom. Okay, here we go. Ah! My God, this is well exciting. So, it is A Snake Among Swans. I just read the little things. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to be one of those girlies that is obsessed with book boxes. Yet here we are. Let's see the book that I will be starting straight away for this month. The first book I'm going to... Let's give it a go. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at that. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. I should have done a spoiler warning. Yeah, you would have known. Oh, interesting. Okay, we've got to do the inside. So this is what it looks like. And this is the reverse jacket if you want it. I don't. I don't think I want a green version of something when this is so much cooler. This, which is one thing I really appreciate, is just look at that. I mean, that is beautiful by itself. That is incredible. And then we've got a very beautiful sprayed edge situation. Then we're going to look at the end pages. Oh, some nice character portraits. Probably our main cast of characters. Brilliant. So my knowledge of this is that it's very political marriage, trying to bring down a royal family from within is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. But let me just do a quick read. Yes, it's about a woman that is forced to marry to protect her kingdom and all the political machinations that go into that. Interestingly, though, it's not like how you get certain romanticies, for example, where the guy's really hot. No, that's the guy that she has to marry. Poor gal. Poor gal. But yes, no, this is going to be the book that I am reading next. I am very, very excited because I love Hannah Kaner's books. I really hope I love this. And there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. And I will see you next week for my magic and mystery reading vlog.